The episode picks up months after Bruce Wayne's death. Gotham survived the nuclear attack, but the city that came out the other side isn't quite the same one that went in. Batman is gone, and the people who once feared him now speak about him in hushed, almost reverent tones, as a symbol of something they never fully appreciated while he was still alive and prowling the rooftops above them. At night, the streets are technically safer than they were during Bane's uprising, but something underneath that surface calm feels wrong, the way a house feels wrong after someone's moved out of it for good. Batman's disappearance left behind a vacuum nobody has quite figured out how to fill. Small-time criminals have started testing the police again, probing for weak spots the same way they used to before he ever put on the cowl. Gangs are slowly reclaiming corners and alleyways that used to belong to nobody but him, one block at a time, testing to see who's actually watching now. Commissioner Gordon throws everything he has left at holding the line, working longer hours than the job should ever ask of one man, running on coffee and stubbornness more nights than he'd ever admit out loud. But he knows better than anyone alive that the police can't be everywhere at once, not the way Batman used to manage it. Gotham doesn't need another Batman yet, that's not what's missing. What it needs is someone willing to watch from the shadows again, whoever that ends up being. Selina Kyle, meanwhile, has left Gotham behind entirely. She's living quietly under a different name in a different city, filling her days with small, ordinary things, doing everything in her power to forget what happened on that rooftop the night the bat disappeared out over the water. She tells herself over and over late at night when sleep won't come, that Bruce's death was never actually her responsibility. She never asked him to sacrifice himself for a city that spent years hunting him. She never asked him to come back for her, not really, not the way he did anyway. But the memories don't particularly care what she keeps telling herself in the dark. She remembers his final words to her before everything went sideways. She remembers standing there on that rooftop, watching the bat shrink into the distance, some small stubborn part of her waiting for it to turn back around the same way Gordon had waited by the water. And more than anything else, more than she ever wants to admit, she remembers that Bruce believed, right up to the very end, that Gotham was still worth saving, even after everything the city had put both of them through. One night, against every instinct telling her to stay far away, Selina finds herself back in Gotham anyway. What's waiting for her isn't the city she left behind. A criminal organization has quietly taken control of several neighborhoods while nobody was watching closely enough, and these aren't ordinary street thugs chasing an easy score. They're former members of Bane's army, survivors who lived through the uprising and lost their leader in the chaos but kept every piece of his ideology intact, repurposed for a new kind of takeover. They've built an entire belief system out of the wreckage of the old one, that Gotham only survived the nuclear attack because it was forced to grow weak without Batman looming over it, and that weakness, in their eyes, is exactly what makes the city ripe for the taking now. Their new leader isn't shy about saying so in public, standing in front of whatever cameras will still point his way and openly mocking the very idea of what Batman used to represent to this city. "Your hero is dead," he announces, grinning wide for the broadcast. And Gotham survived anyway. Selina catches the clip later that night and understands immediately what's actually going on here. These men aren't simply committing crimes for profit. They're deliberately, publicly challenging the one symbol Bruce left behind when he flew that bomb out over the water, daring the entire city to prove out loud that his sacrifice actually meant something lasting. At first, Selina refuses to get involved at all. She tells herself, the way she's told herself plenty of times before, that this isn't her fight anymore, that whatever debt she owed this city she paid off a long time ago. Then, on a quiet street on the edge of the old warehouse district, she witnesses something that changes her mind in an instant. A group of these men cornering a terrified family in a narrow alley, the police still minutes away, hopelessly too far to matter in time. Selina watches it unfold from a rooftop above, frozen in place for one long aching moment, and finds herself thinking about Bruce, unbidden. About what he taught her, without ever really meaning to teach her anything at all, about choosing who you want to be rather than simply accepting who the world has already decided you are. She goes home that same night and finds her old Catwoman suit still packed carefully away exactly where she left it, untouched, waiting. This time, when she pulls it back on, she isn't planning a heist and she isn't running from anything either. She's hunting. Her first night back out on the rooftops of Gotham looks nothing like Batman's nights ever did. She doesn't fight the way he fought. No brooding stillness, no careful, measured restraint holding her back at the last second. She's faster than he ever was, more unpredictable in every move, willing to go further than he ever let himself go. She uses her agility and her instinct for staying unseen to take the gang apart piece by piece over the course of a single night, moving through the shadows like something this city has genuinely never encountered before. By the time morning breaks, the criminals still standing are visibly rattled, glancing over their shoulders at every flicker of movement in the dark. Someone spray paints a warning across a brick wall near their territory before the sun even fully comes up. Gotham is watched. For a few confused hours, the police assume Batman has somehow found his way back. Gordon doesn't buy it for a single second. He was there the night the bat flew out over the water. He knows exactly what happened to Bruce Wayne, and he knows the man isn't walking back out of that harbor no matter how desperately this grieving city wants him to. Gordon starts quietly investigating the mystery vigilante on his own time, working the case the same patient way he's worked every impossible case this city has ever handed him. Eventually, methodically, the trail leads him straight to Selina. Instead of arresting her on sight the way protocol would demand, he finds her alone one evening and confronts her privately, no uniform, no backup waiting around the corner, just the two of them standing in the quiet. "Why are you doing this?" he asks her directly, watching her face for the answer. Selina looks out over the city for a long moment before she finally answers him. "Because someone has to," she says simply, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. Gordon studies her for a long beat, and something quietly settles into place for him right there on that rooftop. Bruce's sacrifice hadn't only changed how Gotham remembered Batman after the fact. It had reached someone else entirely, someone nobody would have expected, and given her a reason to pick up exactly where he'd been forced to leave off. Still, Gordon isn't about to let her walk away without saying the one thing that needs saying out loud. "You're not him," he tells her, not unkindly, just honestly. Selina doesn't flinch at that. "I know," she says. The episode closes with Selina standing alone on a rooftop overlooking all of Gotham, the city spread out beneath her in every direction, lights flickering on one by one as the sun finally sinks behind the skyline. She doesn't call herself Batman, and she has no real interest in replacing Bruce, or in becoming some pale, borrowed copy of what he used to be for this city. Instead, she accepts something quieter and, in its own way, far harder to carry, that she can protect Gotham entirely in her own way, on her own terms, without ever once pretending to be him. She reaches up and pulls her goggles down over her eyes. Then she steps off the edge and disappears into the darkness below. The final shot cuts to a newspaper sitting folded on a doorstep the next morning, the front page headline reading "Batman's Legacy Lives On," and just beneath it, in smaller, hastier type, a second headline that's already spreading faster than the first. "New vigilante haunts Gotham. Bruce Wayne died saving Gotham." Selina Kyle would spend the rest of her life making sure his sacrifice wasn't wasted.